So this evening I have my coffee poured, extra pumpkin spice syrup, and some whipped cream because I have a feeling I'm going to need it. It's Romania Black. And yeah, we're on episode 10 of 11 of Bungo Stray Dogs season 5, and it's the penultimate episode. And when we last left our crew, things were not looking good. Things were not looking good at all. Things were actually looking very bad. And it's the penultimate episode, so usually in Bungo Stray Dogs, I don't know, in past seasons, Bungo Stray Dogs will have a crazy penultimate episode, but then the finale is always crazy too. So we can't judge it, right? So, oh my god. But I don't know what to think because we don't know the situation with Aya and Bram. Don't know if Bram's been taken, if Fukuchi has Bram in his possession now, if Akutagawa got them, what if Aya's dead? We don't know. We don't know the situation. Kenji and Kunikita and Tanizaki are potentially at death's door, strapped to these devices. Dazai is drowning with Sigma. We don't know the state of hardly anyone. And Fukuzawa has been stabbed by Fukuchi, and could be dying. And Rampo is in danger as well, right? So what do we do? What do we do? But yeah, I don't know. It's penultimate episode. There's lots of questions. Not seen Natsumi at all. So if Natsumi could become a cat and come save everybody, that'd be great. But then you have Jono. We don't know what happened with Jono. What is he a vampire or not? It just and the problem is that after next week, we're almost caught up to where the manga is, and so we're gonna have to wait a while to find out answers, which is highly frustrating. It's fine. I have lots of anime to watch to keep me busy, but it is frustrating because I'm like, I had someone ask in the comments if I was going to do a recap of seasons 4 and 5 after this season, and I will wait because I would like to do the whole point of the recap for seasons 1 through 3 was because it'd been a while before season 4, so it was good for me to refresh myself and go through my thoughts on the characters, things like that. So obviously I'm going to talk in the discussion. I've been talking in the discussions about my feelings with everything, but I probably wouldn't do like a recap until season 6 was about to happen because I feel as long as that may take, we're going to need that recap of seasons 4 and 5 when we get there. But I am going to, the week after next, go through the manga, then review the manga that covers season 5. So that's really exciting. I am excited. I'm going to do basically like what I did at the end of season 4, recap, go through the manga, and we can talk about characters there, things like that, and kind of just see what the manga left out, what they didn't expand upon, how things are different. Oftentimes with manga, it's a little bit different than the anime, so I'm really excited for that. That should be a lot of fun. But I do have some comments before we start this penultimate episode. Kaylin V had a really good comment for episode 9 where they were talking about the hunting dogs. They talked about a lot of things, and the one thing that stood out for me that I thought was really interesting was that with the hunting dogs, they all claim that they're for justice, but that's kind of a facade, which is hilarious because Fukuchi's whole use of the hunting dogs is kind of a facade in itself. But the idea that Fukuchi is really the only one that stands for justice, so we know. We have Tachihara, who is basically in the hunting dogs because of his brother, so he's fighting for his brother. Teruko is fighting for Fukuchi, obviously. Techo is fighting for Jono, obviously. Jono is fighting for the people, and I love that Kaylin V pointed out the irony that the criminal of the group, which you could say Tachihara is connected to Port Mafia, so he's kind of a criminal too. But the one who started out this story as the criminal, Jono, is the one who has the most ties to justice as far as the ideology, which is, it seems so fitting, and that's why I feel like Jono, if he got to know Dazai, would probably get along with him because, Dazai would love Jono. He's a sinner, right? So that would be a lot of fun, wouldn't it? But I thought that was really, really good. Apparently, Jono and Techo's real-life authors that they are based off of have written romance novels, and I'm like, tell me more. Which is fun. I love that little tie-in. I'm like, Asagiri knows exactly what they're doing. Don't let them fool you, right? It's great. And then Techo would what does it have here? He would basically go back on his word. Oh yeah, Caleb V was talking about how it's so interesting that Techo, who we established early on in the season, was like the Kunikita of the group, the idealistic one who had all the morals and everything, wouldn't go back on those ideals. But yet, he would break his word would torture kids and would team up with the enemy, namely Kinji, if it meant finding Jono. So hashtag Jono goals, hashtag Techo goals. Like, let's get this couple's goals going. I'm like, hell yes, absolutely. So that was a really great comment, Kaylin V. Thank you for making that. I really appreciated that. And Dana had a huge comment, which I love. I ramble on for nearly an hour every episode, so why shouldn't y'all make amazing, awesome comments? And they talked about a lot of things, but some things that stood out. I like the idea that Fuku, I'm just going to call him Fuku, is basically, it fits the double black standard more than Mori and Fukuzawa, which I find fascinating. But yeah, you have kind of the character dynamics of Fukuzawa and Fukuchi, kind of that opposition they have is kind of like Dazai and Chuya's, kind of like Atsushi and Akutagawa's. It's fascinating, right? I really like it. I think it works well. So then Mori's the side hoe that's come in and been like, but me! And I'm like, damn it, Mori. I really miss Mori, honestly. He's such a crazy character. And in season 4, his moments with Yosano were terrifying and disturbing. But I miss modern Mori, because modern Mori is like kooky villain guy. I miss him. I miss that, him and Elise. But Fukuchi is a lot like, I like Dana pointing out, Fukuchi is a lot like Shirase from the 15 years ago arc with Dazai and Chuya, which was a really cool comparison. Because Shirase was one of the members of the Sheep that kind of was upset that Chuya joined the Port Mafia. He's like, what are you doing? You're turning your back on all of your ideals to do this. And Chuya's like, yeah, but this. And now times have changed. And it is a really good comparison to Fukuzawa, who at the time was like, no, I don't want to join your war. I want to do my own thing. But then after all is said and done and the war's ended, he's like, okay, well, that part's over. So now I want to join this organization. And Fukuchi's like, but you didn't back then. But times have changed. So it's like if Fukuchi is stuck in the past, he can't see that things can change and people can change. And it's like he's trying to just chase after this forgotten past that doesn't exist anymore. Or does it, right? Or does it? Because I did want to point out here the idea of, before I get to Bitteremba's post, Fukuzawa and Fukuchi. Fukuchi's positions and Fukuzawa's have kind of altered, according to Dana, which I liked, talking about how Fukuzawa achieved the life that Fukuchi wanted for him, that Fukuzawa originally denied because he wanted to go all lone wolf. And Fukuchi is trying to end the war, which is what Fukuzawa originally fought for. So it's funny how their goals and positions have kind of reversed as the story's gone on. Now, Bitteremba, I don't know. It doesn't seem like that English is their first language, perhaps, because their comment, I don't know what to do. They made a comment at first. They were trying to defend Fukuchi, and I told them that I don't want to know anything about Fukuchi because obviously they're spoilers because we haven't finished the story of Fukuchi's character. So I don't really want to go break down his character fully until I get to see like the full encompassed version of him. So they changed their comment, and they noted that Fukuchi's trying to change the past with a time-traveling sword. I don't know how that's possible. You can't really, you can go back in the past a little bit, but not that far to change. I don't think you can use the time travel sword to go back like hundreds of years. I don't think that's possible. I mean, we talked about his relationship to a character from another series and how it's the idea of him wanting to change the way things are, but I'm like, I don't think he's trying to go back into the past. I don't know. I hope that's not a spoiler. I don't know. The time traveling sword, I think everyone in the comments has agreed, is hacks. And I'm a little nervous. I was talking to Gin in their comment and saying I'm a little worried about the time travel sword because it's such a MacGuffin and a weird object that has all this power that, like, how do you get rid of it? How do you get it out of the way? How do you dispose of it in a way that is going to satisfy the plot? And I don't know the answer to that. So we'll have to see, right? But I don't know the answer to that question. So I don't know. What I do know is that those were a lot of really good comments, and I've talked for nearly 10 minutes. But I'm really, really excited for this week's episode. Yes, indeed. I want to give a very quick shout out over to Patreon, not only to those of you that have subscribed on YouTube, as well as fellow patrons who support me. You all are amazing. You're the reason I can keep doing this, that I love. But a special shout out to the philanthropy tier who help me every month pay for subscriptions, manga, things like that. I'm very grateful and appreciative of it. So a special shout out over here to Tyrone, to Anime Annie, to Eric, to Sunspots, to Translucent Men, to Legatus, to Anna, to Goob, to Matthew Palfiniere, to Argent, as well as She Got Snow Bitches, and Nameless Monster, as well as Shimoyama, Kiri, Be Happy, Alex Cornejo, Dana, and Edgar. Thank you all so, so much. I greatly appreciate it. All of my love. So yeah, yep. It's the penultimate episode. I have poured myself a nice, refreshing beverage thinking it will make me feel better and the sugar will help, but who knows, right? Who knows? It's Bungo Stray Dogs, and I just want the feel goods of episode 6 for like all of season 6. I don't want any more pain. I'm tired of pain, Bungo Stray Dogs. It's just like the SpongeBob meme where it's like trauma. The anime, and that's Bungo Stray Dogs. So I'm gonna get this all set up for y'all. What can we do? What can we do? But we're not going to waste any more time than we have to, and just see what all we get, right? So I'm gonna turn my sound on. I'm gonna make sure that I've got subtitles. Neither of those things were accomplished, so that's good. And oh my god, we are going to start episode 10 of season 5 of Bungo Stray Dogs. And we're going to do that here in 3, 2, 1. And let's do this, y'all. I'm going to have to watch some like feel-good shows after all these shows this fall. I'm watching Monster, reading Attack on Titan, I'm watching Berserk, Case Study of Vanitas, Bungo Stray Dogs, Link Click. Romania Black's going through the ringer. And I'm going to need like some Idolish 7 or something at some point. I don't know. I don't even know about that show, but it must be better. It must make you feel better than this. Oh man. Well, I will say, of the penultimate episodes, it's been a while since the penultimate episode has made me feel so much dread and so much despair and so much there's no way we're getting out of this than this one. So I think it's safe to say that next episode we are not getting the problems resolved. No. I feel like, if anything, the most they can do is leave us on a cliffhanger of, well, there's a chance that they'll get out of this by whatever the cliffhanger is, and then they'll lead us into a cliffhanger, and we just sit there and wait until season 6, which is cruel. You know that Bones was like, oh yeah, we're gonna give you seasons 4 and 5 together! And then they were like, we're also gonna destroy your soul! And we're like, wait a minute, whoa, hold on, go back. What wasn't Dazai at like a horse derby like 10 episodes ago? Can we go back to those times? Can we go back to those times? Oh, no, we can't. Okay, great. So, man, we talked about, Dana brought up the fact that Fuku is a much closer representation of Double Black than Mori and Fukuzawa, and I think that is honestly the case. So right now, we can see the parallels. We have Fukuchi. Who has stabbed his best friend, and I'm putting BF because it can mean best friend or whatever you want it to mean. And then he has the one order. And surprising no one, he seems to be going back on his word and is going to attack and destroy the world. At this point, I'm like, because that's what's gonna happen, right? He's gonna have the armies attack and just destroy the world. They're gonna fire missiles in 30 minutes and the world's gonna be over. So in 30 minutes or 30 seconds or whatever, and then the world's gonna end. So I don't know. I tried to rationalize in my head, Fukuzawa, because ever since I read that one comment talking about the past being altered, I'm like, I don't think the sword can go back that far in the past. And I'm like, I don't know. And part of me is like, just Fukuchi's given up on everything, and he's like, well, then I'm just going to destroy the world. We're just going to start fresh. And I'm like, let's please not do that. But I don't know what else his game is other than just destroy the world and be like, well, it'll just be me and you, Fukuzawa, and nobody else. And it's like, well, that's not how this works. So I don't know, but Fukuchi's just gone off the deep end, seemingly. If he hasn't gone off the deep end and he has some elaborate plan that's actually going to save the world, then why go to all this trouble? Why? Unless his goal is to just destroy the agency, but then why? So the only thing I can think of as a means of, so how do we stop Fukuchi? Well, there's some options, I guess. One option could be is Mori somewhere. I don't know that he swings in at the last minute. One option could be the clock tower. We haven't seen them. We know they were deployed, or seemingly they could be. Old Natsumi, what the hell's that damn cat been up to is what I want to know. We're going to talk about Natsumi again here in a second. Natsumi, what's he been up to? Don't know. Other than that, I don't really see any other way. I guess Rampo is there with them. So if Poe manages to show up, now would be the time. Because we have also in the wings there, we have Rampo, we have Kunakita, and we have Tanizaki. So yeah, I mean, I don't know what Poe will do other than get them out of there and possibly put them into a novel while the world's ending. I mean, if the world was ending and I had the option of going into a pocket dimension like Lucy's world or into a novel like Poe's, I'd probably pick it. So there's those options at least. At least Ango could take refuge in Lucy's pocket dimension along with Yosano and the others wherever they are. Maybe they're in Lucy's pocket dimension and things are okay. That'd be great. I hope that's the case for them. And then as for Mori and Elise, who knows, right? Who knows the Black Lizard? I feel like part of me thinks that Mori has been doing reconnaissance right now to try to like find all the Black Lizard vampires and apprehend them and take them away to wherever, whisk them away with Natsumi while this is all going down. I don't know. Bram can't keep track of everybody, and Fukuchi doesn't care. So, and then where's Jono? We don't know. We assume that Techo and Kinji were going to try to find Jono when they were able to move, but that doesn't seem likely. And we don't know where Jono's gone off to. Akutagawa stored him somewhere for reasons we don't know why. So yeah, I will say, I'm going to put over here like some plot inconveniences, and you say what you want. But plot inconveniences. I'm just going to point it out there. And I'm going to give my explanations as to why. But Aya and Atsushi not being vampires, I'm just going to say I'm glad they're not. I'm very glad they're not. And if this is each of them like touching part of Akutagawa's soul, then fine. You know what? Fine. But then I'm going to talk about Chuya in a minute with that. So if Atsushi, if the tiger boyfriend's words reached Akutagawa's heart and Akutagawa's stubbornness to maintain his promise to Atsushi transcends the vampiric powers of Bram the Great, I'm fine with that. I will accept it as a shipper of Atsushi and Akutagawa as the ultimate sign they are destined to be. I am fine with that. But him sparing Aya, I mean, mangaka, I know you're doing it for a reason, and I'm glad you did it because it leads to this amazing moment with Aya and Bram, which I'm all for, but it is a little bit of a plot convenience. I'm like, again, the zombie powers are inconvenient, and I guess you could argue that, well, Fukuchi didn't give the order, but Fukuchi gave the order to kill. But Akutagawa, again, he made the promise not to kill. Okay. I'll accept it. I'm totally fine with it. It does, like, it makes the stakes so weird in this series because part of you is like, well, a few episodes ago it was like all no hold bars. No one was safe. And now it's like, well, but although that being said, Atsushi is not in a great place because we have Akutagawa, who is still in a zombie form, and Atsushi's been trying to reach him, being like, come on, Akutagawa, snap out of it. And he has Atsushi without an arm or a leg, which they'll grow back. Atsushi's got those regenerative powers. And then Aya and Bram are trying to get the sword out. At this point, I mean, I guess at this point, the best thing that can happen is if Bram gets... But here's the problem. We've talked about this in the comments. yeah, it would be great if Aya can get the sword disconnected from Bram's brain. That'd be great. But it's Fukuchi's power that's allowing him to control all of the vampires. Otherwise, we don't think his power is nearly that strong. So if she takes the sword out, then he can't control all the vampires. So we're still not getting... We're not saving the world. Saving Bram is not saving the world. But, as far as we know. But Aya is a kid. She's 10 years old. She feels this is the only thing she can do, and it's the best thing she can do for Bram. And the moment that Bram looked at her and was like, there's nothing left in this world that I want to save. But when he looks at her, he sees his daughter, and it's like, like he sees her as like, he sees her like he did his daughter, and realizes that she could be someone he protects. And I'm like, I love that. Bram and Aya, give them all the things. I love we were talking in the Discord about how it would just be amazing to have a series like Bungo Stray Dogs 1, where Aya just takes Bram around to all these modern conveniences and like explains what they are, and he's like, what is this moving picture device? And she's like, oh, it's a movie. And he's like, what? And then like, it would be amazing, right? I need some Bungo Stray Dogs 1 after this, for sure. But I don't know exactly how it's helping to take the sword out at this point. I don't know what good it's going to do, but it's thematically a nice bookend. And then Asagiri gives us, you know, the bookend of saying, yeah, in other stories that would work, but this isn't other stories. Asagiri does some things like I'm making a big deal about the vampire plot point, but it needs to be said because somebody else will probably say it. I'm fine with it, and I give Asagiri a hard time. Asagiri makes some really good character choices in this episode that I was like, okay, fair, let's do this. I hate it, but let's do this. But with Atsushi and Akutagawa, I don't know. The fact that Akutagawa has not turned him into a vampire, the fact that he has not been bitten, the fact that he's not dead is a sign that Atsushi, if he's not reached Akutagawa, if his words haven't reached his heart, Akutagawa is stubbornly holding on to the promise of not killing him. So I'm like, well, that's something. That's something. We can go back to that. That's nice. I'm just saying, he bit Jono, supposedly. Didn't bite Aya or Atsushi, but that's neither here or there. We'll just let it go. But I do like the call back to the promise, and that even though Fukuchi said kill, he couldn't do it because that's the power of the double black, right? I do like this opening scene where we have Aya at the karate tournament, and that her dad used karate as a way to train her body to become more elegant, which is, I don't know how I feel about that. It's the dad saying that. Okay, sure. And we find out it's not the mom, but the sister who died. So the mom's been dead for a while, and then the sister. That line, though, that may be one of my favorite lines in recent anime that I've watched so far. No one can best the perfection of the dead. That line is so good. That is such a well-written line. Because, yeah, it's the idea that we develop an idea of people when they pass on. There's this ideal of them, and nothing will top it. It's kind of like once you put someone in a memorial, once you memorialize someone and have this vision of them post-mortem, that vision it may not be accurate and it may not be correct, but it's like you can envision someone post-mortem and you'll never be able to top it. Like when people talk about, you're like, oh, this person's passed, but they were like this when they were alive and they did all these great things. And they may be true, right? But you can't best that perfection. Like once that legacy someone leaves, you can't best it, right? Because it's ingrained and it can't be challenged because the person that you're talking about is no longer with us to challenge. So that is such a damn good line. That's my favorite line of the whole episode. I was like, damn, that's really good. And it's Aya, a 10-year-old saying it. Like, I hope it's a literary line from one of the works. I really would love that if that was the case. And she's like, I was attacked on the car. And then Bram's there. And Bram's like, yeah. So she was out for long enough. She was out for long enough for Fukuchi to have Akutagawa put Bram on a stake, secure him to the top of a skyscraper as bait. So they've been there a while, and he's been negotiating for the one order this entire time. And then poor Aya, like I was waiting for her to go into the like all the technology there, the communications gear, and try to do something to stop the attack. But she doesn't do that, right? I guess Fukuchi doesn't know she's alive, because otherwise I feel like he'd tell Akutagawa to kill her again and be like, why didn't you the first time? So whatever. The whole scene with Dazai drowning, that whole scene was really, really good. I loved the idea. Fyodor ain't messing around. Nope. Fyodor's not messing around. So let's talk about Dazai, which I'm going to put here. I'm going to put Sigma right here. So Sigma made the trade. Sigma traded info for, quote unquote, all of Fyodor's secrets. Now, what info did Sigma trade for that? I don't know. But he traded for all of Fyodor's secrets. And there was like rainbow ribbons coming out and everything. I'm like, did you secretly discover that Fyodor is part of the LGBTQ plus community? Like in this moment? But what did he trade? I hope it was like nothing. I hope it was like how to play blackjack or something. What did he trade? And then why? I'm assuming he passed out from too much knowledge. Will Fyodor try to kill him? Will Fyodor try to kill him? I was really afraid because so far when we've seen Fyodor's powers activated, it's been when he's put his hand on someone else. So my fear was that he was going to activate his ability the moment that Sigma touched him. That didn't end up happening. My worry is, I feel Fyodor's keeping Sigma alive because he knows Sigma is, he believes Sigma is not a threat to him. So he's like, well, I'll just keep you alive and I'll bring you with me. And if I feel the need to use you, then I will. But if I keep you with me, then you can't do anything with the information you've just gained. I feel like that's it. Sigma is too much of a tool for Fyodor to use to get rid of. That'd be, a waste. But then he's like, I'm going to keep you with me so you can't run off and tell anybody the things that you've learned from me, which would make the most sense, right? So that seems problematic. But yeah, this whole thing with Fyodor against Dazai, right? And then I guess in that respect, we have Chuya in with Dazai. So the whole thing with the drowning, where they coated the elevators with a flammable substance, and they did it to burn the rest of the oxygen so that it couldn't be used. And Dazai basically had to hold his breath and fire the gun through the channels to try to break the door open. That whole section was genius. Like, I thought that entire segment, all those plans, that was so well done. Did anybody else think for a hot second that Dazai was gonna make out, like have a Hawaiian kiss with Sigma? Did anybody else think that was about to happen? Because I did. At first I was joking and I was like, oh, wouldn't it be funny if Dazai like to transfer oxygen to Sigma? He like breathed, because Sigma was like, oh, I'm drowning, I'm running out of air. And I was like, will Dazai like transfer some of his air to Sigma to keep him from surfacing and killing himself? And then I was like, oh no, they won't do that. And then the moment Dazai like gets like right up in his face, I was like, or will they? I was like, oh my God, are we actually going to do this? And then we don't. And then he takes the gun away and fires away. But for a hot second, I was like, show, do we need to talk? But that scene was so well done. And it was smart. I loved that. I loved how that all went. And then the elevator drops, convincing drop sequence. And they start falling. And Dazai's like, we have to escape before it accelerates. And Dazai pushes Sigma out. And that's the point where he says, he's like, I'm counting on you. I'm gonna get a shot of that. There's like a perfect shot of Dazai like in the elevator. And I apologize for my dogs. They always do this. But yeah, and he's like, I'm counting on you. And yeah, and I like that Sigma acknowledges, he's like, I know I'm being used in some capacity, but there's this conversation that Sigma has with Dazai that it's not really a home that you're looking for, it's trust. And that trust is kind of what the entire basis of the ADA is. Like, the detective agency is literally all of them from all these different walks of life that trust each other. And, oh my God, my dogs. And just chasing each other, running around like Atsushi this entire episode. But, Huckleberry, my dear. Now he's gonna be like, what? So what I love about it is that Sigma understands that Dazai, he's like, because Fyodor tries to convince Sigma, he's like, well, Dazai's just using you, and he's putting these flowery words about trust and home in your head to trick you into doing what he wants. And Sigma's like, yeah, you're manipulating me too, except you would probably kill me. I don't think Dazai's gonna kill me. And so I'm like, I like the Sigma's kind of like, yeah, maybe I'm being manipulated, but the ADA, once we get through all this, if we all make it out alive, it doesn't sound too bad compared to this, So, damn. It's such a hard scene coming up. We'll talk about it. But Atsushi, I'm so conflicted. My body feels like it's being torn apart. I'm like, they won't tell us what the mission is. And then Atsushi goes back to Dazai saying, you have to find a way with the strength that you have now. You've got to find a way to make this work with what you can do. You can't worry about anything else. You've just got to work with what you got and hope that it works out. But yeah, they won't tell us what the actual goal of the Decay of Angels is. And what's curious about it is that Atsushi is so conflicted about it. So a part of me is like, are they trying to erase all ability users? Are they going to go and try to change the past and rewrite everything? But then why go through this to begin with? I'm sure we'll find out eventually. It's either going to be something so simple as we're going to try to change the past, or we're going to try to alter the future where there are no ability users, or we're going to destroy the entire world so that we can be safe, or something stupid like that. And then Atsushi's like, well, I guess that would work. Yeah, I don't know, but I don't like the means in which we are getting there, so I'm probably not going to like the overall outcome of whatever their goal is. I'll be like, well, that's a great goal and all, but the means you're using to get there are pretty messed up. So, but we'll find out eventually, right? And then poor Aya, she sees Atsushi coming, and then Sigma's like, okay. And that's when he finds the note that says, help me. He's like, should I run away? And there's a note that says, help me, in Russian. The note is weird. Why is there a note that says, help me? Was that part of Fyodor's plan all along? Was that part of... It does... Fyodor is a chess player, so it seems like an elaborate trap to lure Sigma in, being like, oh, help me, I have a split. The one good thing I am so glad that this series did, thank God, is that they were like, they did the whole split personality thing was a joke by Fyodor, and he wasn't being serious. I was like, oh, thank God. Because I just got done with Krogo's basketball. I'm watching Monster. There's talks of all these split personalities. I was like, I've had enough split personalities to last me a century. Thank you very much. And I've seen them handled well, like in Monster, and handled not to my cup of tea, like in Krogo's basketball. So I was like, oh, are we really gonna do this? And I like the mangaka calling out that it's cliche. I like the mangaka's like, oh, do you think this is gonna be like some cliche thing where there's split personalities? Ha ha ha, gotcha. I'm like, I actually love that. I love the mangaka calling it out. I liked the tongue-in-cheek moments here. The mangaka's giving a wink to the audience, being like, oh, you think this is how it's gonna go down? Well, no. And I'm like, ugh. Like the moment, we'll talk about Chuya and Dazai, we'll talk about that. But like the whole idea of the one order and everything looks doom and gloom, and it's like, well, and Aya's like, don't you have a special ability or something that can save us? And Bram's like, well, I don't like garlic, it sucks, and I can see myself in the mirror, I don't like the smell of roses, and I have these other mediocre things, is that enough? And Aya's like, that is not going to help us at all. But that's the thing, Asagiri as a mangaka is saying at this point in the series, you're expecting there to be this big hat trick that comes out and saves everybody, like that Bram has this magical ability. No, he doesn't. You think that the power of nakama is going to save Dazai. Supposedly it doesn't. And that Atsushi's going to reach Akutagawa by the power of nakama. Nope. So it's leading you down to all these avenues you think are going to be the case and save the day, and then they don't happen, and you're like, well, then what do we do? And it's like, it's so messed up, y'all. It's so messed up. But yeah, just the idea that we always get Akutagawa and Atsushi like fighting each other one-on-one, and he's like, you saved Aya, so I mean, come on. And then even to the very end, we get to the Dazai scene. I'm like, has it been over 30 minutes? Did these guys lethally inject themselves? Because they were supposed to die by now. It has been over 30 minutes. I am sorry. There is no way that it's only been like 20 minutes since we started this like 3 episodes ago and that they're fine. There is no damn way. Did they even inject themselves? Is that even a thing? But he's like, come on, man, please. The thing that's so messed up in this moment is that Fyodor sends Chuya to do it. It's like Fyodor and Fukuchi. They're trying to like take like the protagonists who have this like bond, the people that have this bond with. Get this right. I want to get back to this scene here. That have the bonds like Fukuchi and Fukuzawa, Akutagawa and Atsushi, Dazai and Chuya, like Fyodor and all of them are taking these bonds and throwing them back in their faces, being like, well, how strong are they really? And that's when Sigma shows up. Sigma's packing, and Sigma, I was like, Sigma, I would have shot him. I don't know. I say that, but I'm not that type of person. I probably would have been like Sigma too and been like, I need that information. I like that Sigma, you know, your gut instinct is, oh, we'll just kill Fyodor, he's bad. But Sigma knows that he needs that information. And I'm like, that is the one thing. Is Fukuchi the page? There is the other page of the book. Right? There's the other page of the book. Now, that is the would-be savior of this entire series. Because you have one page of the book. You just got to write in the smallest writing possible how everything could be altered. Right? So my thing is, either is Fukuchi, because he talks about using the other page of the book, is Fukuchi going to use the other page of the book to possibly rewrite part of history, to go back in time and alter some things? Is he going to use the page in the book to fix some things and be the hero at the end of the day, and that's his goal? What is he going to use the page to do? That's going to be the big question. And if anybody else gets their hand on the page, could you write the book to where Dazai lives? At this point with Dazai, the only way he could live is become a vampire. That's literally the only way, is if Chuya bit him and saved him by making him a vampire. He shot him literally in the face. How? You can't get out of that. Unless he makes him a vampire, there's no way for Dazai to live. And I honestly was shocked. The moment that Dazai gets shot in the face, I was honestly shell shocked because I was like, oh, they're not going to just do it. And then they did. I was like, oh. So I don't know. If Chuya makes Dazai into a vampire to save him, wouldn't that be the most romantic thing? Have Dazai in Chuya's arms as he bites his neck? If you did that show, I'd be like, okay, all right, let's go. And then here's the thing: if Chuya bit Dazai and turned him into a vampire and saved him, regenerated his body, whatever, by using the vampiric abilities, because that's what they can do. Apparently, they can regenerate your body. That's why Akutagawa bit himself. Then, if Aya takes the sword out of Bram, could he just switch off his ability, and then everybody that was vampires will instantly go back to just being normal, but because they've regenerated, they're alive, so that will solve the problem. That could be a way to do it. That seems the most logical, but the only way Dazai can live in my book at this point is if Chuya makes him a vampire, if Chuya goes all bites him and it's the most weird romantic thing ever, or if Natsume comes in, because Natsume has some weird powers there, maybe he can come in. I don't know. Mori has Elise, or if Yosano's there, but he got shot point blank in the face, unless Yosano's brought there by Nikolai is mysteriously not present. Where is Nikolai? He has not been present for a while. If he brought Yosano to save Dazai, that'd be great. I'm Nikolai not being present is so fascinating to me. I don't know what that means. I don't know what we'll do with that, but he's in the wings somewhere for some reason. But man, and then Fyodor being, we'll go back to the scene, Fyodor being amused that Sigma showed up. And Sigma's like, I'm going to touch you and learn your plans of the airport. He's like, I'm going to take this gamble because I don't have any choice. And Fyodor, I love all the shots of the scene of Fyodor and Sigma in the break room there. All of those scenes are amazing. Like the lighting, the blues, like it's so good. I love it. It's like, I'm going to touch you and read your memories. At least Sigma says, you know, at least he offers some consent there. He's like, this is exactly what I'm going to do. I hope you're okay with it. At least Sigma's a gentleman, right? He tells exactly what he's going to do in that moment. Look at him. And then, oh my God, Aya's like, we have to save everybody somehow and do something. I like Aya's like, I'm not going to just sit here and do nothing. And then Bram says, I don't have in this world any cares. And then we look back and we see that she looks like his daughter. Except she has the red eyes and her hair's a little different. But she looks like her. Look at that. Now, the whole thing with the help me note where Fyodor pretends to be like, he pretends to have a dual personality. I was like, are you freaking kidding me? And he's like, he's evil text turned flesh. Like, what? He's like, I can't stop him, but there's hope. Take this knife, and he's a demon born from the weakness of my heart. My special ability taken on human form. And then of course, when he holds the knife out, he gets close enough to stab him. I thought that was a genius play. I thought that part made a lot of sense. I liked the idea of Fyodor, like, turning the tables and just completely saying, this is not going to be your mama shonen. I'm like, there were so many of that moments in this. I was like, yeah. And he's like, okay, if you're going to take the information, I don't mind having you touch me and take any information you wish. It's just the fact if you have the courage to take it, that is. Because, yeah, he could kill you, right? And then Sigma's like, I ain't got nothing to lose. It just sucks that they get the one order, right? And then Aya's like, I gotta try to find something to pull the sword out. And then he touches his hand and he basically touches his hand and, like, skate the infinity rainbows just go past him. It's like Yuri on Ice, whooshness, run with the wind, whatever. It's basically like, oh, Haiji, like, just possesses Fyodor for a hot second. What is this torrent of light? So there is a big question. Like, there's all this information, and he's wanting all the secrets. So the big question is, what does Fyodor... Is this his ability? What is this with the rainbow? What is going on? He's like, it's information. And he basically gets so much of it that he passes out. Okay. And I do like that shot of Fyodor with the light in his eyes. He's like, it was the light behind me the whole time. So Sigma potentially has the information, but is Fyodor going to let him go? Probably not. He's probably going to try to take him with him if they're able to get out. I'm so curious because we've seen, and that may be the thing too, we've seen people like these touched, like, die. So did he overload their brains with too much information? Was that it? His power is called crime and punishment. So is it when he touches you that you pay for your sins? Or when he touches you, he takes all the evil in your soul and, like, bounces it back at you? Sigma doesn't have any of that, so that's why he's spared. I'm going to be curious next episode if we get anything with that, right? We'll see. But then we have poor Dazai who got out of the elevator, broke his leg, and has a spot on his head, and he's like, I've imagined this situation so many times. But in my imagination, we were on opposite sides. That he'd imagined being in front of Chuya. He's like, entertain me with your flimsy punch. And he wants Chuya to punch him so that he can reverse the ability. And Fyodor's like, no, shoot him instead. And, oh, it sucks. Like, just watching Dazai get shot, no. He's like, you bitch, that hurts. And he's like, I'm in pain, and I lose to Fyodor. And to top it off, it's Chuya that's about to kill me. He's like, you look utterly defeated. This is so hard because, like, Dazai has joked about suicide the entire series, and we've always been like, oh no, Dazai's safe. He's not going to be hurt. And for it to be Chuya, you should have made a pact with him not to kill anybody for 6 months, and then you wouldn't have had this problem. And Fyodor just being like, you look so defeated, and he's like, who knows? I might say something absolutely profound and moving. And Chuya might come to his senses by the miraculous power of friendship. Yeah, there was like 3 moments. There was the split personality, Aya and asking Bram about his special attack that he has in the wings. And then, Akutagawa and Atsushi and the whole, like, wake up, don't see past the vampirism. And then this one, I guess, would be the 4th one where Dazai's like, oh, I'll just say something so profound it'll snap him out of his vampire state. And it's like, Asagiri's like, no, this is not going to be like the shonen you've read before. And the sad thing is, like, there's a moment, like Chuya, he's not smiling, but his, like, eye is, like, twitching. Like, his eyes kind of, like, twitched there. And he's, like, he looks like he's grimacing. He doesn't look happy at all. Like, if there's any ounce of... And that's the thing, like Chuya, if they can... We don't know what the state of people are when they're in that vampire state. We don't know if they can see what they're doing, if they're lucid, or if they're just knocked unconscious and they're not going to remember anything until they wake up and the vampire state is over. We don't know. So I'm hoping that this is not like a Neon Genesis moment where Chuya is aware that he's killing his best friend. I hope that that's not the case, but I don't know if he's aware or not. I guess we'll find out eventually, but maybe. But if he's aware that he's doing this, oh my God, that would be heartbreaking. He's like, Chuya, wake up. Our fate isn't to be done here. Like that line, he's like, we should not die in Mersalt in this prison. And then he's like, for our fate isn't to be done here. For our, and we don't know what the rest of the sentence is. And then he shoots him. Oh. That's so hard. And if you were just staring. Oh. I was like, was he going to say for our friends, for our friendship, for ourselves, for our future? Oh my God. And then, yeah, the one order's activated. It's weird that it takes the form, it's like this evil spirit that takes the form of like a radio device, but it has like veins and stuff, like it's alive, and he has a headset, and he's able, and it literally is a being. It like has eyes and like a mouth and everything. It's creepy as hell. No thank you. No thank you. And uses it, what does he say? And Fukuchi uses it, ugh. And they're like, no, this isn't what you promised. And they're like, nuclear silos 1 through 8 will begin launch sequence. Oh my God. And they're like, the systems are fully operational. 30 seconds to launch. Oh my God. And everybody's just going through. It's terrifying. The world is going to end. And Aya's like, I got this table. I love that Aya is the only moment of levity in this entire episode where she's like, I got this table to get the sword out. But the sword is jammed shut in there. And she tries so hard. But the sword is stuck. She's like, you're joking. And he's like, it's sorry. This is just, it won't come out. Do not blame yourself. This is but our fate. So I don't know. That whole episode ended with him just dying. Dazai. I don't know how Dazai is going to survive a point-blank gunshot to the face unless he's turned into a vampire, or unless Natsumi shows up, or unless it's doctored footage somehow, or unless Dazai has some kind of amazing power we don't know about, or unless Chuya uses his gravity powers to have the bullet like cause, because you know when you have a head wound you bleed very heavily. Maybe Chuya causes the bullet to like cut the skin but not go through that, and then the bullet's just not, it didn't go through his head, but he uses gravity powers to stop it and make the blood just come out and make it look like it. I don't know. If all if all of this turns out to be Fukuchi somehow trying to save the world and make it a better place, but it had to go through hell to get there, I don't know if it's good. I don't know if I'm gonna be happy with that scenario. But on the other end, I don't know how we're getting out of the scenario, how the ADA can stop the Decay of Angels, unless Nikolai just has some crazy plan, or Rampo's not actually dying, or Fukuzawa isn't actually dead, or they got. Did he have the sword? Let me go back. The sword. Let me go back to that beginning shot where he's waiting on the orders and everything. Let me go back to Fukuchi. Where is he at? I want to see him real quick. Where is he located at? It's Fukuchi down there to get the one order. He's trying to get it. Where is he at? I want to find out and see if... Did Fukuzawa have the sword in him? Or does he have the sword in his hand? Fukuzawa's just lying there in a pool of his own blood, but we don't see the sword. So... that line about throwing... There is one line that I did like from Fukuchi, is that the EU guy was like, I'm going to throw all my Fukuchi fan merch, and he's like, go ahead and do it. Like, it is a sign that Fukuchi doesn't believe, he's not doing this for fun, he doesn't seek any joy from it, or anything like that. He literally is unhappy with what he's doing, but he believes this is the only solution that he has. But damn it, we've been through this anime and manga with the song and dance. We know that's not the only choice that he has. Visibly frustrated. I want to go back to my old man Yowie. Can we go back to that? Can we go back to every symbolic trope possible? Can we do that, please? I always count on Bungo Stray Dogs to have a hat trick that it can pull off in the last second. And just when you think it's really, really bad, it comes back and it's like, oh, but wait. What if this happened? And you're like, oh my God, yes. And at this point, I'm like fingers crossed as hard as they can. There's something that we haven't seen yet, but I'm like, but what? What could it be? I don't know. And then the thing that has tied all of these characters together inadvertently is Oda, right? We can't forget about Oda. I didn't talk about Oda a lot last episode, but a lot of people in the comments were talking about how Fukuchi literally picked a fight with a child. He had beef with a 10-year-old Rampo, like when he was like, Fukuzawa, you took in a kid. You were a lone wolf, but you took in this child, and he's your bestie now. And Fukuzawa was like, this kid was on the streets. I needed to give him a home. He's like, I like that Fukuchi literally starts a brawl, like a rivalry with a 10-year-old kid. And then Oda, Fukuzawa offers Oda assistance with the organization that he's involved in. And Fukuchi's like, but you told me that wasn't going to be an option. And he's like, well, times have changed, right? So Oda has kind of been involved with all of this. Oda was involved with Fukuchi and Fukuzawa at some point. Oda is obviously involved in Dazai's life and getting him to work more with Chuya, and also getting Dazai to meet Atsushi. And he's been encountered with Akutagawa. So Oda is like the common thread between all of these relationships, with the exception of Sigma. So is there something that can be done with Oda? But he's dead. I have no clue how we're going to do next episode. We ended this one on such doom and gloom. The Twilight, what was it called? Twilight goodbye. How are we doing this? I don't know. I'm really excited because I don't know. And I'm like, okay, well, we have all these theories of what could happen, but we don't know, so next episode is going to be weird. It's going to be crazy because next episode has to either give us more doom and gloom, show us the hat trick, somehow people will be saved, but we don't find out until season 6. It's got a lot of ground to cover, and I don't know what's going to happen, but I can't believe I don't know if Dazai, you know Dazai's dead, he got shot in the face, but unless the gravity kept the bullet from penetrating, I don't know. I please no spoilers. I am going to read the manga for these chapters and see that eventually, but I'm like, we've all thought Dazai was invincible, and this is the episode. It's like, oh my God, is he dead? So, if he did get bit by a vampire, if he did get bit by Chuya as a vampire, it would get rid of the poison that's in his system, so there would be that. and then Fyodor would just have to try to get the antidote from Nikolai, but I don't know. I'm not ready, y'all. I'm not ready. So, whew. I just, don't know. We deserve a lot of episode 6 fun time after this. Let me tell you that. So, oh my God, I'm speechless, y'all. But we'll find out next week, won't we? So, in the meantime, I hope you enjoyed this reaction discussion. Without spoilers, however you're going to do that, I'm curious to know your thoughts down below. But in the meantime, I hope you all have a wonderful week. Please stay safe, take care, and yeah. I'll be back next week with the season finale of Bungo Stray Dogs Season 5. Ciao!